Exactly. And you know what? That's a great way to start today's podcast, don't you know?
Excellent.
Nice. And it's already being found to cause long-term irreversible issues. Amazing. So our local medicine man has decided to inform us of some amazing side effects that have already been discovered from the RNA vaccine. Like Alzheimer's.
You guys want Alzheimer's? Yeah. Brain goes Bert.
Brain go Bert. That's very nice. Atin, Max, are you guys alive?
I'm here, I just don't care.
Excellent. Then let us get started. Hello, Internet. This is Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9004, episode 16. And I'm your host, SneakyDevil. We got a lovely list of garbage for you tonight.
Excellent.
I'm pretty sure we're streaming. Yeah, we're streaming. Good, I even remember to take myself off mute.
Impressive.
Yes.
Good job.
Congratulations, Sneaky. You've accomplished a basic function of streaming. At last.
Yes, fuck you.
It's really weird how we just, had long silences on the streams before.
I'm sorry, Max. I was going to go click this off this article that you sent me. Sociopaths are huge partiers.
Wait.
No.
Wait. Hang on. That was in the article?
This is in
Press
the article.
X to doubt me, lads.
Oof.
Right.
Yeah, see, all I did was skim that. I'm like, a lot of Sneaky's co-workers in past stories hit a lot of these marks. But
Okay, I feel personally attacked by this one. They love to share their insights, but hate it when others do it because it sounds preachy to them. It's like, yeah, but sometimes it is literally preachy to them, because I'll be talking with someone, on r/fanfiction, right? I'll be giving my advice. I had a conversation with someone about the tagging culture, for example, on AO3, and I was giving my insight into the tagging culture, my opinions on it and whatnot. And the person responded to me, someone else, not part of the conversation, responded to me with their own personal insights on the tagging culture and how amazing and great it was, and there was no flaws in it whatsoever. And how I was just wrong for saying that there could ever even be a flaw in the tagging culture of AO3. And yeah, that was preachy. And that is usually how my interactions with people do go. Is they do end up usually being preachy, because when I'll talk to them, that's what I actually wanted to rant at you last night about, Max.
Mm-hmm.
I had a conversation, political conversation, not a fanfiction conversation.
Why did you continue to have those? You know they'll only upset you.
Oh, because I wasn't having it intentionally with this person. It was an A-B conversation. Once more, again, I was talking with someone else, and we're both typically agreeing, yeah, no, this is a bad thing. Oh yeah, this is definitely a bad thing. And then here comes this fucking little bitch who thinks she's hot shit because she's a mod, or actually an admin on a certain server. And she just comes in with her fucking retarded opinions and starts preaching to us from her fucking soapbox about, how things should be X way. When we're not even talking about that, by the way. The conversation we were having barely related to what she was soapboxing about. But she just started soapboxing about it. And so I was like, oh, well, what do you want to do then about it? Like, how are you going to implement or advocate for some sort of policy to achieve your goal? And she's like, well, I forgot you were an asshole. I don't know why I bothered talking to you. It's like...
Answer the question, ma'am.
But you didn't answer anything. And she just fucking left the conversation. So she just came in, gave this really garbage opinion, and then left when I was like, okay, well, how exactly are you going to accomplish that? And she's like, fuck off. I'm tired of preachy-ass people. It seems preachy to us because, it's because it fucking is.
Yeah.
You smell that? It's bullshit.
Done.
Speaking of which, let's see what we got here tonight to work with. So we've done a lot of Harry Potter. We've done a lot of quite a bit of that. You know what we haven't done recently? Some cringe-ass Elder Scrolls Mass Effect crossovers.
Oh, but why?
Because I want to mock it.
Fair enough, then.
All right.
I will continue listening to Shark.
Link that. And switch that over and turn off the timer. Alright, let's begin. So yeah, this is the Dragon Queens. This is a Elder Scrolls fanfiction crossover. And it's a fusion story.
Life is suffering.
So, we all know how great fusion stories are here on this podcast, and how they're always handled with a... Why is my Discord app broken? Why is this fucking... Why is it only...
I am the only person in voice.
You're apparently the
Hello
only person
there,
in voice.
world.
What the fuck?
Wait, what?
I don't...
Yeah,
So there's just 2 ghost voices in Discord?
3, but yes.
3. It's only me.
Excellent.
It's only
I am the
listing
podcast
Arn.
now.
It's listing Arn as the only person.
Well, Arn,
What the fuck?
good luck vamping.
Yeah.
You gotta be the only one talking for the rest of it. I don't...
Oh god, oh fuck.
What the fuck is... Oh, I
You
don't
gotta do it without relying on your favorite buzzwords.
I don't understand.
Fuck. Yeah, that just became 10 times more difficult.
I am just absolutely baffled by technology, and this is why I continue to hate it.
Best part is, I'm pretty sure the program that you're using is supposed to be just click and it works.
Yes, it
So
is.
once again, you
Yeah.
have broken a
I don't-
simple program.
I don't know how I've broken a simple program. Once again, I have absolutely broken something. And I told you about the Star Sector guy whose program I broke, right?
Probably at some point.
Where I reported a bug to the mod author, and the mod author replied with, "I literally have blocks of code dedicated to preventing this from happening. How did you do this?"
It's really simple. Sneaky cares not for what you wish.
And so the result of this is actually pretty positive, because the result of this gave him insights into his own code and how it interacts with the Star Sector code that it's modding, and made him realize that he could actually write a cleaner prevention software for his code block that would catch that issue and other stuff that it might have missed from now on as well. Because I'm just good like that, you know?
It do be like that. And by the way, Sneaky, Shark is singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, I'll be sure to catch the not
The
Shark
re-upload.
archive, yeah.
Yeah. Also, try just leaving and rejoining the voice channel. Might fix it.
No, why would that fix it?
I don't know.
think he's... fuck it, we'll see what
Might.
happens.
Fine.
Is still a ghost. Is the
Okay, well, Max is a
Madness
ghost
there.
now.
Yeah.
question.
Is it?
And yeah. Yeah, you're
How far back is my stream?
No, a bit.
That's weird.
Mine's like 10 seconds.
Okay, well, it's not like I speak up much anyways.
Well,
since
you know,
I don't
I really
freaking
gotta
know
say,
anything.
Max, I really gotta love Twitch for this, because apparently the Norwegian's like 10 seconds behind, you're like 30 seconds behind, and I'm like a fucking minute behind on my feedback. So
But
not
you're
only
streaming
do I
from
have,
the same
I'm
system.
aware,
Glorious Norwegian internet.
like, not only
Faster than the speed of light.
do I have variable resolutions that may or may not work, but my delay is also on a per user basis. I am just
good.
that special.
Good news, Sneaky.
Yep.
You currently have optional video quality.
Excellent.
I can't wait for it. I can't
Yeah.
wait for
Do you know
this.
what I don't have, Max? Fucking viewers. So it
By the
doesn't
way-
matter that I have optional video quality anymore, because nobody's watching.
I do want you to know, Sneaky.
Yeah.
I have seen other streamers roughly your size who, as far as I know, have done nothing to get the shadow ban, also suffer this issue.
What, the variable resolution quality?
Just appearing and disappearing.
What do
Weird.
you mean appearing and disappearing?
Like variable resolution quality appear, like the option to vary the
I already
resolution
know why that
appearing.
happens.
Oh, why?
Oh, Twitch sent out a notice to me a while back, saying that the reason why that the video quality is sometimes an optional thing and sometimes isn't, is because as a associate and not a partner, I am on a first come first serve basis for slots on their variable video quality servers. Meaning that the only way for me to get this optional quality that will allow my channel to grow is to grow my channel and be the first one streaming that night.
Basically, he has to go fuck himself.
Yeah, basically it's a very fancy legal way of saying go fuck yourself. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is the Dragon Queens, a fusion between Elder Scrolls and Mass Effect. Have we done this story before, by the way?
Nope.
Which one?
Unfortunate.
I checked. We haven't.
Hoping to skip this one. Right, so anyway, the story starts off with some pretty cringe shit, so let's get right on into it. So, prophecies complete, an immortal dragonborn and her vampire best friend are left to their own devices. The result is a jointly ruled empire of Nirn that spans the stars. So when Batarians are chased through Relay 314 by the Turians into Imperial space, all oblivion breaks loose. How will the galaxy of science hold up to the empire of magic, especially one ruled by dragon queens? So there's already multiple issues with this story. To anyone who's aware, hello Eva, to anyone who's generally aware of how Elder Scrolls lore works, the stars aren't actually stars. They are holes in reality where heaven leaks through. And that's why people can use magic. Heaven, in this sense, is where all the gods live, not where people actually go.
You're going to the stars, motherfucker.
So yeah, the holes in reality are actually where the gods who told the rest of the gods to fuck off, they kind of just punched a hole in reality and left through it. So they
kind of based, not wrong.
They literally punched a wall through reality. And just, we're like, all right, now that there's this whole gaping hole in reality, I'm just gonna walk through this and leave, and fuck everyone behind me.
Cheers, bro. I'll drink to that.
So yeah, that's why people can use magic, is because there's giant gaping wounds in reality, allowing God to seep out through into the mortal plane.
The god is leaking again.
The god's leaking again. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. So that's Elder Scrolls lore. Now you might see why there might be a few issues with fusing such a story to a sci-fi space exploration action adventure.
No, really?
Okay.
Yeah, you would probably assume that there would be minor complications. You would have to drop the lore entirely, and effectively go with game mechanics of the people can use magic because they can use magic because they have a mana bar, and not because of actual given explanations, as trippy as they are in Elder Scrolls. So that's typically why I really don't like fusion stories, because one side of the fusion typically ends up getting just dropped because it's not compatible with the story they're trying to fuse it with, and it's really breaks my suspension of disbelief when I'm reading a story where the people have magic because there's a hole in reality, and then the author goes and says there's no hole in reality, but the magic still happens. And it's like, okay, well...
Oh my god. Gura singing, never gonna give you.
Well, of course he is. But yeah, so this is already off to a really bad start. The other thing that I have an issue with is that space really isn't space either. Due to the previous explanation of stars being holes in reality, space is also just distance between these holes in reality. It's not actually like
Space.
It's like a higher sky, effectively.
Yeah.
There was literally a space station. This is canonical, by the way, to Elder Scrolls lore. Is one of the empires literally had a space station, which just floated above the Earth instead of rotating above it. Because I don't think we've gotten any confirmation, but it's entirely possible that the Elder Scrolls Earth might be flat. Yeah. Because the sky, the space above the sky is literally just more sky. It's not actual space. So, yeah. But anyway, so they run an empire in space. Now, to be fair, though, Coda was invented, and they did fanonize that space was a thing, and that planets were still a thing in this space. Other planets existed, other than Tamriel and Nirn, or whatever you want to call it.
The place where the magic happens.
Yeah. Basically, Coda is a fan-made attempt at creating a very complicated, true to lore version of Elder Scrolls as if it was taking place, 50,000 years in the future, and everyone lives in space now. Because reasons. Again, but that's all fanon. So, take it for what you will. Anyway, so the author decides to start off their first chapter with a quote in the dragon language. Means we can't read it.
Of course.
But then they helpfully translate it to Serana was born of dark with bright soul and became dark ruler. And Arana was born a destroyer but with gentle soul and became light ruler. Together they are dragon queens who master the empire. I don't know what that means. The light ruler, the dark ruler, what the fuck does that mean? What's that, like... That's a great way to start your story, by making your entire audience be just like, what the fuck am I reading?
Yeah. That's usually not a great thing to do unless this is original fiction, because there's going to be an explanation at some point.
Right, exactly.
Whereas in fan fiction, it's a flip of the coin. We might get an explanation, or you might tell us at the end in an author's note, by the way, guys, I wrote this all in my head and I'm starting here instead of at the beginning.
Yeah, this is actually like, so this is the thing here, is that this story is also taking place like several thousand years after the events of Skyrim.
Oh, that's totally not confusing.
So we're just gonna time skip like them making the empire, and them going to space, and them colonizing space, and them making a space empire. We're just gonna skip all the bits that might not make the author's idea work, and just go right to the bits where we just assume the author's idea worked. And then the author proceeds to give us a bunch of flashbacks to show how we got here.
That's not a...
What is this, a physics equation?
When
Assume spherical
we were-
cow?
Yes. When we think back on the lives of our two queens, we must remember... So, this is the weird thing. So, this is talking about... So, this says Serana. I don't know if this is Serana point of view or like an about page of Serana or something. The author is completely unclear. They just put Serana in fucking bold and then start paragraphs of narrative afterward.
It's about, not POV.
I'm aware, but that's my
It
point,
refers to in
though.
third person. Yeah, it's retarded.
I'm aware, but the author just slaps Serana in bold and then starts a paragraph under that as a narrative. And so it's just like, is this... what is this? Is this a point of view we're talking about here? Is this the details? What am I getting into? The author doesn't tell us. He's just like Serana. So anyway, when we think about our dragon queens, it's like, what? Question mark, question mark? We must remember that they began their lives as mortals.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Life.
Yeah, sure. Our night queen, that's implying that they're no longer mortals. They're not. So immortals is used for everything generally in Elder Scrolls, by the way. The only thing considered immortal are the divines. You can't kill a divine. Only divines can kill divines, and the divines that are dead were always dead because time didn't work until Akatosh wanted it to. So no divine has ever, as far as I'm aware, no divine has actively died while time was working.
Okay.
Everything else in the world has died. Like,
The
Daedric
closest
Princes
we've
died.
come to dying was what's his face getting his ass kicked in the Oblivion Crisis and being forever banished from the mortal plane.
Mavroon's Dagon.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah,
Probably
what,
because
wait,
he's a
what do you mean
loser.
the closest we've ever come to dying?
Like the closest we've ever come to an immortal dying was Akatosh kicking Mehrunes
What?
Dagon's
No,
ass.
Daedric Princes die all the time.
That's right, he's a Daedric prince. not
Yeah.
immortal.
And the best part about Akatosh kicking the shit out of Mehrunes Dagon is it's not even Akatosh doing it. It's literally,
you're right.
It's literally a distant, like, descendant, like, so far distant that you don't even, like, even remote. It's like saying I'm a distant relative of Genghis Khan. It's like, yeah, sure, maybe like 75 times removed, or like 150 times removed I might be, but like that's not even worth mentioning,
Yeah.
I am 1/8 related. I am 1/800th related to the King of Britain.
Like
That does not mean I
Well,
get to
yeah.
roll up to the royal house and be like, "Where's my cut?"
Actually, probably closer,
fucking
honestly.
what's her face? Pocahontas. What's her actual name? Not the Native American, the politician.
What?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren. There we go. Elizabeth Warren is more Native American than I am related to Genghis Khan. And so there's literally no reason to mention it. And that's literally how related Martin Septim was to Akatosh. And with 3 dried drops of Akatosh blood, he was able to turn into a demigod powerful enough to 1v1 Dagon and win.
Damn, power move.
Akatosh is kind of strong.
Akatosh is the walking definition of a power move.
But yeah, no, Daedric Princes die all the fucking times. Like, literally nothing is immortal. Period. Nothing, period, is immortal besides the gods, which is the Aedra, who haven't died yet before time started. After time started. There we go. So nothing is really referred to as immortal. Dragons were referred to as immortal because they technically couldn't die. Because when you killed a dragon, its physical body died, but if you gave it long enough time, its physical body would come back to life. And that was the problem, and why dragons ruled over the mortals, the general mortals, for so long, is because you couldn't actually kill a dragon. Like, yeah, you could overthrow the dragon, and you could cut off its head, and then in 20 years it comes back and kills you all.
And goes, "Hi! I remember you putting my head on the wall. Look! There it is!"
Pretty much. And even when you do kill a dragon, the only way to actually kill a dragon and make it not mortal anymore is to eat its soul as another dragon, which is why in Skyrim you are the Dragonborn, you have a dragon soul, which allows you to eat other dragons. But even that technically doesn't kill the dragon. You just have the dragon soul inside you as well now.
I would say, you've just removed the dragon's ability to respawn. You destroy its bed.
It is technically now inside your soul. And the reason why in Skyrim you're able to learn words of power using the dragon souls you've absorbed is actually because what you're doing is you're accessing the memories of that dragon because you've ate its soul and you have access to its memories and power, and you're using those memories from that dragon to remember the words you've never learned.
Your dragon soul handed over.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much.
And even then, the soul is not destroyed. It is still alive inside you. So, technically speaking, you can call dragons also immortal. They are the spawn of Akatosh. So, makes sense that the guy who controls time creates children who physically can die, but spiritually time
Give
means
it a hard
nothing to
pass.
them. Time literally means nothing to a dragon soul, and thus they can never actually die, thus they are immortal. But yeah, so vampires are not immortals. Immortal, like your average human might call a vampire immortal, but lore-wise, the vampires are not referred to as immortals because you like even a farmer with a pitchfork can kill a vampire because that's just how Elder Scrolls rolls. But anyway, so yeah, our Night Queen Serana Volcair was born in the First Era. Even she does not know the exact date. Probably because she's been alive for a long time and just forgot it. Yeah, I guess that's the point. She was born to the ancient warlord Harkon and his wife Valerica, both worshippers of the Daedric Lord Molag Bal. Though through this worship they became true-blooded vampires and offered their daughter to the Daedric Lord as well. It was not an as-well situation. It was literally, they went to Molag Bal, said, "Hey, Molag Bal, in exchange for giving us the power of vampirism, we will let you rape our daughter until you're satisfied."
Molag Bal.
Boy, did he enjoy that. And he definitely took them up on that offer.
So he didn't give them the power of vampirism, but he did rape the daughters quite thoroughly. And then they forced the daughters to give them the power of vampirism. Molag Bal's like that. That's just how he rolls. Yeah. This made her a daughter of the Cold Harbor, like her mother, and caused her to become immortal. Fair enough, author. I guess she's not immortal. She's immortal.
No.
Wait, how? Huh.
Immortal.
Maybe that's just branded knockoff immortality, I guess.
It's Chinese immortality.
Bootleg immortality.
Vietnamese copy immortality.
Indeed.
In the following centuries, Harkon became obsessed with the ancient prophecy of the tyranny of the sun, one that would allow him to extinguish the bane of night dwellers. Valerica, in an attempt to prevent this prophecy from occurring, stole Harkon's Elder Scroll and hid it with Serana in what would become known as the Dim Hollow Crypt in later eras, before fleeing into the Soul Cairn. Now, of mention, so the plot to extinguish the sun, this is another funny little bit of Elder Scrolls lore, is technically literally impossible. But the thing is that the Elder Scrolls themselves are physical bits of God stuff that are capable of performing specific actions based on preset circumstances known as prophecies.
Uh-huh.
And so while technically speaking, extinguishing quote-unquote the sun shouldn't be possible, by him using the Elder Scroll to do it, it rewrites the sun to not being bright.
Excellent.
So it's not extinguished, it just doesn't put out light.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. That
that is
Yeah.
a regrettably accurate summation.
Well, welcome to Elder Scrolls.
Okay. So we haven't extinguished it. It's still there. We just put it in dimmer mode.
Yes.
So the Elder Scrolls
Turn the
act
brightness
as a
now.
dimming switch. That's what I've learned today.
Yes, they can certainly perform that function.
That is the least and yet the mightiest of the Elder Scrolls functionalities.
There has been some other wild shit that people have used the Elder Scrolls for, like casually looking upon it accidentally showed you spots where time just kind of wrinkled a little bit, and
Yeah, I
if
was
you
about to
accidentally
say-
poke that spot, you can sometimes fall through time.
Yeah, wasn't that like that was a part of the main quest for
Yeah.
ESO starting out was like, yeah, so if you can survive this, you can look at these time rifts
Yeah,
and just interfere with the past.
yeah.
No,
That was in the beta at least. I clearly remember that.
No,
No, I was
yeah.
gonna say, lore-wise, that's
But you see, the thing is though, when it concerned Elder Scrolls, the thing is that there is no such thing as rewriting causality, I guess you could say it, because if the Elder Scroll does it, if it's a product of the Elder Scroll, it always happened.
yeah, like
So,
that's just
If
reality.
you went back in time and did something back in time, you always had done that back in time, even though you weren't even born yet. You always had gone back in time to do that thing, because the Elder Scroll said you did. So you did.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's great shit. I love it. It's so fucking dumb. Also,
It's-
sometimes the Elder Scrolls aren't scrolls. Sometimes they're giant orbs. And if you
sometimes
and if you bang one in a very specific way, sometimes you can unstuff.
That's a great verb.
that's one of the things I love about the Elder Scrolls is that stuff like that had to become right. You didn't so much because here's the thing, right? You can't, it's not unmaking it because the Elder Scroll makes it so that it never like you're not like undoing it, right? Undoing it is like I undo the knot. This is the knot never existed in the first place, and nobody knows there was ever a knot there, and nobody even knows what a knot is anymore. So
Effectively, yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like it sounds like one of the things you should be using an Elder Scroll for if it doesn't drive you insane is removing the concept of Elder Scrolls then because they sound like they're more trouble than they're worth.
They kind of are,
no. Well, yes, they're
Yeah.
absolutely more trouble than they're worth.
but you
No
can't
one's
use...
been insane enough to try that yet.
Well,
and-
not only that, if you try to use an Elder Scroll outside of its prophesied usage, you effectively go blind and insane, and then your soul melts.
I was gonna say
Okay, so
that's
they're
the
also
second part.
they're also self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Not only are they
Good to
self-fulfilling prophecies, sometimes you don't even know the prophecy is occurring until later on you gain the ability to look at the Elder Scroll to realize a prophecy happened.
Oh good. That,
Oh,
you know
by
what?
the way,
I actually appreciate stuff like that. It's like, oh fuck.
one
It
of
was
my personal
always gonna
favorites with the Elder
happen.
Scrolls is the ability, like, anyone can read an Elder Scroll. It's just some people might go blind when they do it, but they can still read every Elder Scroll in existence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like,
That's also
so
why
here's the-
your vision goes really wonky when you read the Elder Scroll in Skyrim. Is because technically speaking, you're not supposed to be able to. You're not only are you someone who normally can't read an Elder Scroll. You're not a blind moth priest. You technically also aren't using the Elder Scroll at its prophesized time, and you're not a prophesized user either. But you are, however, a dragon, the son of Akatosh, and you can casually tell reality to go fuck itself.
And there
Okay.
have been a few other people in time who have done that. Spoiler alert, they were all also
Yeah, they were all also
protagonists.
Dragonborns, yeah.
Well, they were also because doesn't the
The Neverine?
yeah, doesn't the
Yeah.
the Neverine is not a dragonborn and reads them and isn't supposed to and still doesn't go blind.
Well, that's because the Neverine actually successfully did a dragon break, and so retroactively, they became able to read them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genius.
All right.
Because I knew there was a specific reason, because everybody's like, but the Neverine isn't, and everyone else, basically everyone else that's a protagonist in the Elder Scrolls that read an Elder Scroll and didn't go blind was supposed to read that Elder Scroll.
Yeah.
The thing that they don't like, one of the things that like they don't tell you with the Elder Scrolls licenses is right, if you can read one Elder Scroll, you can read all of them. You can't necessarily use them correctly, but you can still read and use them and you won't go blind.
Well, you will
Like-
go blind, just, not instantly. That's why
Yes,
the whole blind part of the Moth Priest comes from, is
Yeah,
they
I was
will
gonna say-
eventually go blind from reading it, but they don't get struck blind and their eyes don't explode and, other
Yeah,
fun
I was gonna say
stuff.
it's one of those things where if you can read one Elder Scroll, you've got read access, but you definitely don't have write access to the
You
rest of them.
definitely don't have yeah. No, the Neverine's actually an interesting story, and it's why, canonically speaking, the all the protagonists for all the Elder Scrolls games can be anyone. Because canonically speaking, it is whoever it was in that variant. Their existence is both is but not because of their nature as the Neverine. So technically, they didn't exist until they did exist to do everything that led up to becoming the Neverine. So it's fun. It's fun shit. I love it. It's great stuff.
The Neverine is the closest the Elder Scrolls ever got to someone from to you being the Kingdoms of Amalur protagonist.
Effectively, yeah. Dagoth
Like-
even acknowledges it in Morrowind. I don't know if it's a general acknowledgement or if you have to do something very specific to get him to say the line, but he even acknowledges that effectively, because of what you've done, he can never beat you because you will be able to rewrite reality until you win. Referencing the saving and load feature, but that's also canon. that's also canon. So.
Yes. God, someday I want to get a look at the Elder Scrolls like lore encyclopedia. Like I can't even call it
a
a
fucking
Bible.
trip, my dude. It is. You need drugs to do it.
Well, not just that, but like the sheer size of that thing. It's like what, like 17 binders or something?
It's pretty thick. Yeah, the author of it goes on drug trips and then proceeds to write more lore.
We're not joking. Like
Yeah.
he's publicly
Yeah.
admitted to it.
Anyway, so yeah, that basically this entire first chapter it's just looking like really cringed here. Like Serana gets 3 fucking paragraphs. The main character from Skyrim gets so much more, and it's just like, oh yeah, Serana was there too at the end. But
Oh well. Yeah, literally just a footnote.
yeah, effectively, it's Queen by right. And then it's like, yeah, it's just a bunch of fucking history notes. I guess it's the spark notes of Elder Scrolls history for this story. Because it's just straight up just like, so yeah, they became powerful. And then after they were done being powerful and immortal and stuff, they went and killed a shit ton of people and then united all of Tamriel under them.
Which, here's the thing. One of the things I want to know is
Mm.
what on earth are they going to do with Elder Scrolls 6? Like, as far as I know, we've tapped pretty much all the big, like, lore people, and then the Neverine technically is and isn't a lore person, like a big lore thing, because they
Yeah.
did exist and they didn't exist.
Plot twist: Elder Scrolls 6 is just ESO offline mode.
No, the thing with
I wouldn't
ESO
hate that.
that's convenient was that they made ESO take place thousands of years before Elder Scrolls proper, which means that they have, intelligently, that means they have plenty of room to just make
Do
shit.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, mess around. There's only a few things they gotta like pay attention.
Well, yeah, I
Right.
was gonna say that right. They looked at why did Knights of the Old Republic do super well? Because BioWare said we don't want anything to do with Skywalkers or the Clone War or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Those people don't exist. We are going 3,000 years before all of this bullshit.
We gotta go back.
Now we're going to tell our story, and it involves a crazy man with a mask, a girl who's really, really likes getting electrocuted, and the Mandalorians.
Pretty much. And honestly, the decision to do that is a good one, because you can see, like, with WoW right now, it's preventing them from continuing the rest of their games. They can't make Warcraft 4 because WoW was effectively Warcraft 4. And to make Warcraft 4, they would have to end WoW, because WoW is continuing the timeline from Warcraft 3 instead of being in a separate timeline, an alternate timeline, or prehistory timeline. I
Well, I would say one of the-
understandably why they did that, but at the same time, it did shoot them in the foot in terms of continuing content.
Well, it
from
also has a
separate
significant
sources.
issue in that, like, when you make an MMO, you obviously have to have absurd power scaling because it's an MMO. Like, everything's always going to get worse.
Right.
And if you don't handle that,
yeah.
like, even for the World of Warcraft, even if they wanted to stop WoW and stop making money and go make Warcraft 4,
Right.
first of all, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much story that you have to pack in.
Yeah. And that's the other problem there is that
Even leaving that aside, like, if you
Yeah.
somehow manage to find a good way to do it, what on earth could you make the threat? Like, we've had
they're
time
quote
travel.
unquote zooming out now. According to recent developer interviews, they're quote unquote zooming out of the cosmology scale, and they're basically, as you said, they're introducing greater cosmology to the threats now. So it's like, oh, you thought the big bad was actually the real big bad? Well, no, actually, there's an even bigger bad behind the bigger bad of the bigger bad that was behind the bad of the bad guy.
Going with the bigger fish approach, I see.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but,
like,
MMOs have to do that. Like,
I was gonna say, but the problem is they've reached a point where, like, they can't go, like, they can't go, once you go out that way, you
Yeah.
cannot go back in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because
So,
Arthas used to be, right?
The biggest threat,
Arthas
yeah.
and the Horde used to be the single biggest problem that Azeroth had ever run into, and now it's like, can we go back to Arthas being the biggest problem, please? And not, like, the old gods and Valkyries?
No, old gods and Valkyries were fine. That was still fine. The problem is that currently we're now on death itself. Actually, is evil, and yeah, and the 4 lieutenants of death conspired to lock him up, but one of those lieutenants actually conspired against the conspirators to lock him up, but then also free him later. Yeah, I don't get it either. And he was actually behind all the bad stuff that happened in every other expansion. Because death is evil. Yeah.
I mean, Calliope kind of disproves that.
Yeah, well, Calliope is Gap Moe in physical form. If she had to manifest as a concept, she would not manifest as death. She would manifest as Gap Mo.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine going back to street level conflicts after Golden Morning. Imagine writing a sequel. and then doing exactly that.
I think, honestly, part of that problem stems from the idea that people think that you always have to have an even bigger threat. It's like, you don't always need a big one, you just need a different one if you want to go that route.
The issue is not so much that you need a bigger threat or you need to go a different route, it's that you need to frame it properly. And obviously the bigger threat's just easier to frame. It's like, oh, well, why is this a problem and it wasn't before? Oh, well, it's because it's a bigger problem. Oh, okay. You know,
Like,
If you say so.
believe it or not, one of the things that Final Fantasy XIV has handled really, really well is its scaling, because they introduced the biggest threat very early on, and a lot of the story expansions have been the big bads making other people do bad stuff, but
Right.
like, they show you in the cutscene, they're like, no, it's these dickheads again, and you're like, right, and whenever there's a problem, you know that at some point you're like, okay, how's it coming back to these dickheads?
Right, exactly. And they ultimately make they set the final bar. So like basically it's sort of like instead of taking a rocket ship up, you starting at the bottom of Everest and you have to camp your way up to the top of Everest, and top of Everest is these big bads that you know about right at the start. You know where the top of Everest is.
Yep.
But you can't rush up Everest, because if you do that you'll just die.
Yes.
So you have to work your way up, you have to stop, you have to settle, you have to get acclimated, and you can progress a little bit more, and then you have to stop and settle and get acclimated once more again. But you know at the end of the day, the top of Everest is still top of Everest, and the entire time you're climbing Everest.
Like, and one of the things they did that was really clever was, they're like, okay, these guys have a method to just keep coming back,
Right.
so an entire arc of one of the main story quests for the expansion was, how do we kill them?
Right.
To which the answer was basically a soul gem.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. But even climbing Mount Everest, because to use this example again continuously, when I said framing was important, because climbing Mount Everest is cool and all, but just climbing Mount Everest doesn't mean you can't have a tough time climbing Mount Fuji then, or Kilimanjaro, or whatever other high mountains there are out there. They all offer their own brand of threat to you, and just by climbing Everest does not suddenly magically make you immune to those threats. Whereas, say you have a problem shooting at a bird originally, and then you move on to shooting at a dragon, but then you take a fucking rocket to the moon, and it's like, okay, well, we have rockets and nuclear bombs now. I'm not really sure birds are that much of a threat anymore.
Yeah.
Framing is important.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a shonen problem.
Yeah,
In that
effectively.
sense that people
Yeah.
need to escalate with long running stories, or else it just peters out. There's no goal. And people are too retarded to figure out goals that don't necessarily involve a bigger bad.
Well, it's not only that, it's like Battle for Azeroth, for example. That was a fucking shit show. I thought they were trying to do the reset with that expansion, and that they were trying to bring it back down to just like, the war is a problem, and now because we've beaten all the big bads, now the next big bad is ourselves, because now we're super powerful, we have all these weapons, and the only people that are left is the two of us. And I want what you have, and you want what I have.
And we still really hate each other's guts, but there have been multiple times when we've been forced to put them aside.
And now we don't have to, because the big bad in this expansion pack is us. And then they went and ruined it, and they proceeded to make the big bad an even bigger bad that was behind all the other big bads, that was actually being promoted by a different big bad to do big bad things in the name of another big bad.
Ah yes, Dragon Ball syndrome.
Yeah. And, honestly, up until that point, it was going fine, and then they were just like, hey, let's just fucking ruin this. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing that then. The problem is that every single time they've tried to de-escalate the threat level, like, what are we dealing with now? Oh, it's just another invasion. Oh, why is this important? Oh, well, because it's actually an invasion, and invasions are still threatening regardless of how many times they happen. It's not like we gained the magical ability to kill a god. An invasion is still threatening if all your civilization is another civilization that hasn't killed God. But if you killed God in the previous expansion, invasion's kind of no longer threatening. But you know, so they keep trying to de-escalate, but halfway through the de-escalation, they're just like, but what if this went to the moon? And it's just like, no, please stop.
Bumpy.
Actually, there is another like you don't again. There you can just have a different conflict that's threatening another way. There's another fix to this that some people have figured out, which is just go to a different generation. Go 2 or 3 generations down the line.
Exactly.
Continue the story. It might even be like, oh, the big bad that your grandparents fought. Turns out he has a reincarnation spell. Who knew?
Or you know, the policies that got set in place by your grandparents after they beat the big bad, made such a great world that everyone forgot how to defend themselves against the big bad, and so now these guys are back, and that's why they're a threat again.
Yeah, the usual thing of like if there's a very long time of peace, people get complacent. It's like, well, the big bad's not any more threatening than he was back then. You're just weaker now.
Yeah, exactly. Underplayed Creation says, I wonder if they'll do a Marvel Civil War like plot, because that's the natural way of making it interesting in the stories with that level of creep, as opposed to there's a secret even bigger bad that there was off beating his meat until now. I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about Final Fantasy, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, or what we were just talking about? WoW. Or Worm, because we already know where Worm's going, and Waldo has failed. Waldo has failed the sequel test.
He failed the moment he started.
Yeah, more or less. You know, it's a really great way to start a sequel with, hey guys, forced gay conversion therapy is a thing now. It's like, what? Why are you starting the sequel off with this?
This sequel was sponsored by Mike. You like the cock, you get the shock. Pens.
Indeed. So this is just the birth of an empire and golden armored forces of Dominion. So this author also has an issue with never capitalizing important words like Dominion. That's the name of a country, but they're not capitalized. But Stalrim, which is basically like saying iron, it's just another metal. For some reason is capitalized. Which, I mean, if you were talking to say the Nords. They would capitalize Stalrim because it's important to them culturally.
If it's a location name, then it should be capitalized.
It's not
That's
a location.
how grammar works.
It's a metal.
Yeah. In that case, retarded.
Yeah, I know, but my point being is that like if you were talking to like a Nordic shaman, they'd be like, "Oh yes, the Stalrim," and you know, it's of great importance, so it would be capitalized for them. But.
Maybe not.
I mean, that's how they did in Elder Scrolls so far. So you know.
Yeah, fuck you. That's the only true Nord in here.
The Skyrim Protectorate from the northern side of the city. Like, why? Like,
bruh.
Why are they called the Skyrim Protectorate when they're invading everyone? The Protectorate is used for people that are being protected by a greater country.
Protector state, I guess. I don't know. The only
We're
way
going to protect you from ourselves.
Yeah, right. It's
with violence.
See, this is the shit I don't understand. Where it's just like the author's like, I like the word protectorate. That sounds cool. So I'm not actually going to look up what that means. I'm just going to use it.
You are getting protected. Please do not resist.
Please cease resisting. Indeed. See you at Towers Ren, Queen Erin 2 grinned and raised her horn to lips and blew. And answering horn call came from Serana, and their trebuchets launched together. What? Wait. What? Wait, what the? A speech cloud appeared. And Serana's voice echoed from the speech cloud.
Oh, what a great time to come back. That.
What the fuck?
What the fuck? Once the walls were breached, She raised her sword. Ranged, she shouted. Using her thum. The air became charged as hundreds of mages readied spells and filled with creaking of bows being drawn. What? The sky turned black with arrows lit by arcane forces that were hurled with their trebuchets at the city.
So thought they already launched the trebuchets.
Yeah, I did too. But apparently
That's
they did it again, I guess.
those are some impressive trebuchet crews.
Yeah. Most struck home. The arrows or
The trebuchets, or both.
I guess both, and she smiled grimly, proud of her people for firing a arrow. This has got to be like some like total like you know what it is, Atin? They've played a total war game and they saw how when the archers fired, all the arrows went towards one unit or another unit, like just perfectly. That's got to be what's going on here. Because newsflash for everyone unaware, archer fire in the good old days was just a shit ton of people with bows that would then fire in the general direction of the incoming army. And they practice what is called accuracy through volume of fire. You didn't actually aim your bow, a mile out. That wasn't a thing.
No, I'm pretty sure sharpshooting was mostly reserved for competitions.
I
it
mean,
really was.
Yeah.
there were times when it was practice, but
in terms of army-wise, you didn't really sharpshoot.
Yeah,
I don't see it being a warfare standard.
Yeah.
Larger scale combat, no.
Like maybe during a siege and you have a crossbow and you're like picking off enemy commanders from atop the walls. You're shooting down.
Because that's important. Yeah, ammo conversation becomes really important at that point.
Right. Like that's when you would be sharpshooting, but in the middle of a battle, they really oversell it. Sharpshooting doesn't happen in the middle of the battle. You are firing in a general direction and hoping that the person you hit was not friendly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oops, was that Jim? I hope it wasn't Jim.
Boy, I hope it killed him if it was.
Because I think Jim found out that I slept with his wife.
She then gathered her thum again, and with her curved sword in one hand and spell in the other, she shouted, "Eagles, advance!" and began to sprint towards the city, whose moat was filled and frozen. A ringing cry came from her forces. "For the queen," they cried. You already said they cried. Their voices shaking reality as their boots shaking the ground as they charged after their queen. Bosmer Rangers stayed on the high ground, sniping the enemy from afar. Yeah, no. So this person has just fucking flat out never even bothered to look up medieval reenactment or even a medieval movie. Because do they ever even show in medieval movies like people sniping? Like usually it's like the hero, like
Hollywood, maybe.
It's actually super rare. If it is, it's very hard, like fiction leaning really close to fantasy.
Yeah, like the most I've seen is like moments where like a battle is happening, but it's like the hero is doing something that's not directly in the battle and he's sniping people. Like he's running through the trees and like 5 people are chasing him and he's like sniping them there. But I've never actually seen someone just be like, I'm gonna stand here on this hill and shoot into the battle and just somehow like only hit people that are not my friends. And then another great moment of glory or Sovngarde. Nords do not cry that. Nords cry glory for Sovngarde, and then they die. and they usually kill a shit ton of people while they're doing that. Skyrim Berserkers. I see the author is staying true to retardation. Got it. Very cool. Argonian warriors and vampire forces. Vampires aren't special enough to be capitalized, or special enough to be specialized, because we got Skyrim Berserkers. So apparently, they only accept Berserkers from Skyrim. No other unit type. Only Berserkers. That actually kind of makes me want to play Attila again with you, and
I mean,
that was fun.
I'd have to reinstall Attila.
Yeah,
but sure.
If you guys can get
Dunmer
some
spell
good footage,
swords.
let me know.
Huh?
If you get some good footage, let me know and send it over.
We're not going to get any good footage. It's going to be just hours of us sitting here being like, how are we going to pave the streets in gold now?
I mean, clearly we should start as the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire.
I was actually going to do something with
Meet somewhere in the middle.
I was going to do something with Africa that time around, but you know, or we can go with Rome. That works too.
Okay, no, listen. You start with Africa. I'll start with the Saxons again.
Oh, okay.
And we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
And
the Africans will meet the super buff black guys. Will meet the super buff white guys, and they'll both go, "At last, the prophecy!" And everyone else will be like,
they'll reenact the meme. Yes, they'll do the meme. Also, another thing of note, Glory or Sovngarde is really amusing, because Sovngarde, it only goes to only Nordic warriors that accomplish glory bringing feats of strength and power are allowed to go to Sovngarde.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a bootleg Valhalla.
So what they are shouting literally translates to glory or glory and I die. So that's it's a really shit war cry. I will get glory or I'll kill you and get glory. It's like, I'm not really threatened by that.
I'm not particularly worried.
Now, if someone is shouting screaming at me, swinging a giant weapon at, screaming at the top of their lungs and be like, glory for Sovngarde, I'd be like, oh shit. They're gonna try and kill me and die trying. Well, fuck.
Or even just screaming, who's Sovngarde? Like, even just screaming.
No, everyone knows what Sovngarde. Oh yes, yeah.
Honestly, they basically just flipped a card saying nothing to lose.
Yeah, if some dude runs at me screaming Valhalla, I'll be like, he is
ready,
determined.
He means business.
Shit's about to go from 0 to 100 really fast.
What if I just left?
What if I just went over there?
This seems like a good time for me to just,
war cries are very important.
I still got a couple days vacation. I think, I know it's a little inconvenient. I know it's short notice, but I'm just gonna go.
I'm not gonna fight the people who are literally shouting, "We will die to go to heaven." It's like, oh. You know what? I'm not really sure how stable these people are and if they'll ever rout.
But when you fight people who say God is great.
Yeah, it's sort of like doing that too. Yeah, but it's something, because if your enemy is shouting how they're never going to rout and then they never actually rout, it definitely does set a precedent of taking them a little bit more seriously the next time they shout at you, "We're never going to rout." And it's like, okay, you know what? They're showing a pattern here.
They might have a point.
they're showing a pattern here. And routing was very important back in the day, back in the medieval era. Maybe like 1,000 people would die when 10,000 people would clash. Not many people would actually die. A majority of the time when large armies clashed, they would rout, and that would be the end of the battle. It wasn't a fight to the death, unlike in Europe Universalis.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in reality, it's like what, 85% of the casualties were inflicted when people were going, "Fuck this, I'm out." More or less, yeah. Because,
pretty much.
People don't want to die. Shocking news.
I was gonna say, even the most well-trained armies in existence, regardless of whether it's the present or the past, break the most an army has ever taken and not broken was like a 30% casualties.
No, 100% casualties on the Germans. And
Stalingrad.
yes, the men who die and rise again.
Yeah.
No, there was a German tribe. The what the fuck are they called? The Selkie? Not Selkie.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Let me
Swedish.
rephrase that. The overwhelming majority of
Swedish.
armies.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of important because they were active for a very long. Despite taking 100% casualties in every battle, they were active for decades. Many generations. They were a terror of that area. Despite taking 100% casualties every time. But yeah, no, typically they routed. And then the Romans were so effective at military is not only because of their tactics and technology, but also because they figured out that if they made people fight for something that was conceptually greater than themselves, they would be less likely to rout, which is, why they have the banners and whatnot.
Yeah, the Eagle Standard.
Yeah, as long as the banner does not fall, you do not retreat, basically.
Indeed.
And again, surprisingly effective against people who were just fighting to live and eat food and whatnot. And you're advancing against an army that is trained to not retreat regardless of how many casualties they take. So it's a little bit of a difference. Don't get me wrong, the Romans would still rout, but they would call it tactical retreats.
Well, yeah. Well, the Romans' biggest loss ever was at the Battle of Cannae, where they lost. Yeah. Well, they had 90k versus 50k, and they lost 70k.
Yeah.
And the Carthaginians lost 6,000.
Well, that's what happens when you.
To be fair, that had a lot to do with like tactics. Yes, obviously has a lot, but like that general basically subscribed to the Imperium philosophy of, I got so many people I can't lose. Proceeded to lose.
How did I lose? Yeah.
How could I lose?
Past this complete incompetence from the author's part on capitalizing anything or describing anything or proper grammar or spelling. For no apparent reason, about 3/4 into the first chapter, the author just randomly is like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Serana is 5'7". Just randomly, just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I should mention that she's 5'7". It's like,
that might wonder how tall
also,
she is.
by the way, I'm just thanks to the Resident Evil and the way it broke the internet, I'm now incredibly suspicious whenever anyone mentions the height of women in their fiction.
You know what the saddest thing is that she's taller than several of the big bads from other Resident Evils like Nemesis and whatnot and Mr. X.
Oh yeah.
She is by far not the tallest though.
No. Well, I would just say let me rephrase that.
Humanoid.
She's the tallest one that still maintains a vaguely human form.
No.
Who's taller?
The list got posted on our ARN server a while back, and there's some guys that are just still human and just bigger. And it's just like, why?
But yeah, I was gonna say, like, see, that was one of the things where I was like, people were like, surely this is the tallest Resident Evil villain. I'm like,
No.
Can I introduce you to Birkin the Sludge Man?
Wesker and 5. That's right. Yeah, Wesker was. He's like 11 feet, 12 feet.
Oh yeah, after the final mutation, then RE4 that you literally fight a dude named Giant.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what everyone else's reaction is, but if I ever saw a 9-foot woman, regardless of whether she's a vampire or not, if I saw a 9-foot woman, I would be going in the other direction.
Listen, I don't care who she is. If they are 9 feet tall, I will be heading in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Not going to comment on this one.
Oh, I know you're not going to comment on this one. But then again, you're not tall enough to run in her boobs either, so you're probably maybe make knee height.
No, I mean that's what lifting is for, Sneaky.
See, I was gonna say, listen, you're not even tall enough to
I'm
get
sorry,
to the true
all
fun
the
zone.
lifting in the
so-
world will not allow you to.
No, I mean not me lifting weights, her lifting me, you dumb fuck.
Of course, yes.
Yes, because that's what every woman wants, to have to lift her man up
I mean, some
There
women.
are
Right, some
some
do.
that do.
directly to their
Yeah.
chest. That like,
Yes,
good
there
luck with that
are
one.
There are
some.
probably
Some do.
some that do, Atin.
Okay, yes.
There is that
I'm still
4chan
looking for
story.
one.
There are also people that like getting wax dripped on their dick, but there's not a whole lot of them.
You know that he does raise a fair counterpoint there.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. I don't know why you're saying that like we're going to disagree with you.
Yeah, no. Just stating the search goes on.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, so I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to find a woman that can pick you up.
Yeah. And then there's just the bigger problem with them liking me.
Yeah, that's gonna
That's
be the
going to
critical
be the
flaw.
hard sell for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I hear that having more money will pave over any personality issues you might have.
And
Like
boy,
some-
is Arn gonna need a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just take over some oil fields. It's easy.
Yeah, my
The
dudes.
U.S. does it all the time.
I would say, listen,
Sure.
make yourself all cute, go to Saudi Arabia, and get one of those oil princes
just-
to keep you around.
Just become a femboy, catboy, and
I'm fairly sure that's haram, so I'd rather not be beheaded, thanks.
You realize that like none of the oil princes follow that stuff, right? Like,
Yeah, but you know, they have subjects, and those people can get a bit
That's
uppity
true. That's
occasionally.
okay, but like you're in the Saudi like, listen, you will never see those people.
No, but you know, when the inevitable coup comes, even if it's Russian sponsored or American sponsored or whatever, I will be in the line of fire if I'm in that situation.
That's
so,
fair enough.
Okay, but like you spend
I
enough time
would
on the
like to
internet, I'm
point
sure
out-
you'll be able to get
I
yourself
would like
out.
to point out that you can find employment with that one weeb Saudi prince
Oh my
who
god.
who owns
yeah.
every game on Steam.
I'm sorry,
and
hold on a minute.
Has spent
KFC is doing a Genshin Impact crossover.
Oh.
My brain has temporarily shorted out. We will continue this story. The Malmir
I'll just go ahead
eventually
and post
accepted
this.
Erwin as her Malmir. What the fuck was a Malmir? Oh, them. Okay, sure. And for some reason, she resurrects the snow elves, and they all swear loyalty to her.
I'm gonna just leave this where it belongs in memes and shit posts because it should be.
Bruh.
And wait, what the? Wait, what the fuck is this? Okay, so the author is now describing space travel for this story.
Okay.
Expeditions to Akavir were made only to find that natives of the continent had killed them all. So apparently everyone just committed genocide on everyone, and the last guy just died. Colonization began on the vacant continent, making it the Temrelic Empire and the Empire of Nirn. As the continents were occupied, they turned their sights to the stars, and artificers began looking into ways to reach the Aetherius. We already know how to reach the Aetherius, actually. The Empire actually has the technology to reach the Aetherius. The Empire themselves already built a space station. But, you know, of course, this author doesn't know anything about lore beyond the fact that Skyrim was a game in the Elder Scrolls series. So, of course, they would know about the first Elder Scrolls game. Or battle stations. Maybe after $100 you can unlock the 3-piece spicy tenders. Yeah.
I mean, look, that's never gonna be quite as top as the time that there was a fat chocobo promotion in China, and you had to eat this massive KFC meal by yourself to get the code. Like, it's not like you bought the meal and they gave you the code. No. The KFC employees had to see you eat the whole thing, and then they would give your fat ass the code.
Damn.
Yeah, I stopped being I wasn't able to do the challenges anymore in my local area back when I was growing up here. Because I became known as absolutely voracious in my appetite. And any challenge that was like, eat this extra large 36-piece pizza in 1 hour, and I'll be like 20 minutes in, done. And they're just like, what the fuck?
That's why you're fat, Sneaky.
I'm not fat.
You are.
Yeah.
Sneaky,
Sure.
if you're not fat, I'm skinny.
Oh, look, first off, I can see my dick just fine.
That is not the metric you should be using, Sneaky.
That is absolutely the metric I'm using, because either that means my belly isn't that big, or my dick is just that huge, and I am fine with either outcome.
The sounds of self-delusion.
Yeah.
Self-delusion? What? You think I'm imagining seeing my own penis?
Yes. I think you've gotten so fat, you've forgotten what it looks like, and you hallucinate it in the bathroom.
I see. Mm-hmm. Well, at least I don't fall asleep with bags of Doritos in my hand.
That's true.
So anyway, they tried making space vessels.
No, he's not.
No, I'm just never gonna know.
The amount of times that's been brought up.
It's gonna be forever brought up. It's gonna be like the year 2040, and he'll be going in for a job, and they'll be checking all references that on the internet to him, and then they'll be able to link nose hair to him, and then they'll look for all references of nose hair, and then after they get rid of all the fetish shit, they'll find this podcast, and they'll see the multiple references that referred to him sleeping with bags of Doritos. And the one time he admitted to having sex with a bag of Doritos, and they'll be like, okay, well, we appreciate your application, but leave.
But what's actually going to happen is he's going to be dumb enough to write you or Atin up as a reference, and you will just link a highlight reel.
No. If he genuinely added me as a reference, I would genuinely answer their questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, listen. There's memes, and then there's listen. I could have easily sold Sneaky out to the feds.
However,
There's the but.
but
That's a big but.
with that being said, that will not stop me from shitposting about him to the maximum capacity. So if someone ever looks him up, they will instantly find all my shitposts about him. So that's entirely on him. So anyway, they made a bunch of space stations. And they didn't launch them to the moon because the moon was sacred to the cat people. So a few centuries later, they then invented a way to travel through the stars using oblivion portals. That would make more sense if you knew how oblivion portals worked, author, which you don't. Because to make a portal to oblivion from the prime plane either requires a mortal specifically crafting a portal beacon, or the Daedric god themselves directly intervening, which, kind of lets the Aedra know what's up, and so the Daedric gods don't tend to directly intervene, because the Aedric gods can slap their shit around.
Really? No way.
So, you can't do wormhole travel just willy-nilly. You can, in fact, and this is a canon thing that was used at one point, you can, in fact, use oblivion portals to travel great distances with a significantly shorter distance inside the plane of oblivion you're using. What you can't do is randomly manifest an oblivion portal, in the distance to travel to it. You need to physically make the oblivion portal to travel to the oblivion portal. Now, how they did it in Oblivion is cultists would in secret do rituals to summon portals. Now And this was really big and important because it was really hard to figure out who was a cultist and who wasn't until they shouted Allahu Akbar and a giant portal to hell opened up. But yeah, so it was a little bit difficult.
As you do in Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. So anyway,
Inshallah.
they get into space and begin colonizing the stars. And then it was in a solar system of a planet they just randomly named Earth because that's the name from a mythical story they once read.
Of course.
Naturally.
That they found the first gate, the tuning fork device, shaped like the symbol for Oblivion.
No.
Not really. That's not even Oblivion symbol. That's Mehrunes Dagon's symbol. It's
It's just so fucking retarded.
This hurts. This is actually physically painful. General Odoving the dragon oversaw the destruction of the tuning fork to do what? Why? Why would you destroy it?
I mean, if the author had said it was the symbol of Mehrunes Dagon, I'd be like, yeah, break that.
Well, yes, I would be a little bit more like, okay, fine, fair enough. But, like, just like you just finding a giant object in the shape of the quote-unquote symbol for Oblivion would mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You can find the symbol for Oblivion all over the place, and even finding like a giant gateway made in the symbol of Oblivion doesn't actually make it anything besides a giant gateway shaped like the symbol for Oblivion. Like, there is no inherent property associated with that symbol. Making an Oblivion gate manifest, however, does make it in the shape of that symbol. But there's no inherent property that says, putting a bunch of stones together in that shape suddenly makes it a gate to Oblivion. That's not how that works. So they basically just found a giant monument. Because the author didn't even mention that it turned on. It didn't mention that it, shot electricity arcs at them. No, they were just like, they found it, and so then they shot it. Because it looked like something they didn't like. It's like, okay, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, that's pretty standard for Tamriel, but
Still, it's really just like out there as like a why bother mentioning that as like a narrative point? Because the author then goes on to say the weapon, like suddenly now at first it was just a giant tuning fork, then it was an artifact, and now it's a weapon just randomly. And it's like now it's just a weapon now. It's like, when was it decided that it was a weapon? Just now, just this very moment in the narrative, I've decided to call it a weapon. Even though I've mentioned it multiple times up until this point and never called it a weapon. It's a weapon now. It's like, oh, okay.
Alright, what do I come back to this time?
The author thinks giant monuments are actually portals to hell.
I mean,
Are they misunderstanding what Oblivion gates are or something?
Yes, they are. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they're calling it a weapon because it floats in space.
It's just floating there.
It's floating there menacingly. So we have to destroy it. So anyway, their
Exactly.
weapons powered by Arcanum, which is author's note. Arcanum weapons are destruction spells powered by souls that draw energy from the aether. That's what a spell is, you fucking retard! I need a drink. I need a drink. I need a drink. I need a drink.
Drinky, drinky, drinky.
Hey. Yeah. Okay. So, basically, what the author is doing here, to people who are unaware of Elder Scrolls lore, is they're inventing a new weapon type. That's like saying, like, what's a good modern example here? That's like, it's like, okay, here we go. So, you know that you guys ever seen two Tesla coils arcing electricity between each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, that's like taking two Tesla coils and arcing the energy in between them. And then being like, yes, you see here, this is the Tesla arc. It's done by, it's powered by lightning. And it's like, technically, yes, but why are you making the differentiation between the Tesla arc powered by lightning and the Tesla arc not powered by lightning? Because they're the same thing. Like, the way the author is describing it is they're like saying normal destruction spells aren't doing the exact same thing when they are. It's like that's how it works. Also, soul gems are soul gems that contain souls. You don't just put energy into them. That's not how soul gems work. Soul gems literally harvest energy of the soul and, you know, store it, and then they break. They don't just they can't be. You can't just be like, all right, well, I'm gonna use this one use object continuously, so technically it counts as one use still. That's how that works, right, guys? You, as long as you're holding on to the Alka-Seltzer tablet, it never actually goes away, because you just keep putting more water into the cup after you drink the cup, and because the Alka-Seltzer tablet is still being held on to it, you're still using it.
Yes. That is precisely how science works.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You might even say that it is beyond science.
Yes, one might say that, yeah. So the Aether is a dimension of pure magic that is unlimited in power. No. And is the main power source for everything in the Nernian Empire. Okay, that's fair enough. Powering everything from guns to ships and electricity. Though as all can do magic light if generally done by magic.
What
What?
the fuck?
Powering everything from guns and ships to the electricity of their infrastructure, though as all can do magic light if generally done by magic. What?
Those are words, I guess.
Yeah, those are words. I mean, you know. Yeah. Then they settled a new colony and they called it Shanxi, another mythical name from the stories of old.
Yes, modern day China,
Just call
truly a
yourself.
mythical place.
Just call yourself a fucking creative hack author. You don't. You don't need to. And like the worst part about it is, it's not even like an in-story narrative note. It's not like the narrative is being like they named it after Shanxi, another name from the mythical stories of the old times. No, it's literally they named it Shanxi. Author's note, another mythical story from the old times. End author's note.
It's not even. It's just like Shanxi, also mythical name. Like, bro.
That parentheses are author's notes.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't say all the other things. It was even simpler and more retarded than what you said.
I know. They learned they were not alone in the galaxy. The relay was hidden in an asteroid field. Oh yeah. So they found the one. So this is another great moment from this author. So they found the relay that was hidden inside a giant ball of ice. But they couldn't find the relay that was floating in an asteroid field.
This is beyond science, Sneaky. Stop questioning it.
No. This is my very first story. I know my writing is clumsy, but I hope to improve it. Well, that is a very interesting. Maybe you should have, possibly done a story that was a little bit simpler. That's like effectively, author. You just bought a master tier model, and you don't even know what glue is. And you're like, oh, I hope I do good on this master tier model. Like, do you even know how to put one together? I mean, like, even the general basics of, like, just assembling it? Not even the precision parts about assembling it? Just like, do you even know how this thing is put together? No? Well, maybe you probably should have figured out how the, stories are written before you try to write a story. Just a fucking suggestion. I know, harsh criticism here. Maybe figuring out how to write a story before you write a story would help you write a story. I know, complicated things. But I think if you really put some time and effort into it, author, you'll figure it out one day. Because you've written a lot for this story, despite not knowing how to write English. So I admire your work ethic in that you are continuously writing garbage, but you're writing, which means you are capable of writing, which means you can probably learn someday of how to write correctly. But I would work on learning what writing correctly is first before you start writing, and then figuring that out later. Just a
I would recommend just stopping.
suggestion. I also really wanted to see the Empire my Dragonborn creates kick ass. Oh yes, of course. So I played Skyrim, and now I know all about Elder Scrolls lore. So now I'm gonna write a fusion fic about my character from Skyrim beating up all the people in Mass Effect. And I really want to shake up those smug council members. You mean those justifiable council members? As assholish as they were,
They were right on pretty much every count.
They were actually right.
Except for the Reapers don't exist.
Well, I mean, even then, it's like, say someone goes into the United Nations and they're like, I have discovered a hidden empire of humans that are living inside the moon, and they have a super weapon to destroy the Earth. Not a single fucking person would take them seriously in the United Nations.
Motherfuckers watched Iron Sky.
Exactly, right? Everyone be like, oh, you're just making that up. Oh, you're ripping that off from this movie? Like no one would actually be like, oh, wait, sure, there's people just hidden inside the moon with a super weapon pointed at Earth. Okay. And, barring some other, points of retardation, like, Oh no, oh, we're being attacked by a giant death ship. Let's all hop onto our big ship that is smaller than the death ship and go fight the death ship while we're inside the big ship. That's a great, amazing evacuation plan. Let's evacuate the world leaders and put them on an aircraft carrier that is actively heading towards a combat zone.
I mean, what if we did that, but in real life, right now?
And if you close your eyes...
Does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?
That's just... It just pains me so much. Please remember this is my first kick at the can. I don't care if it's your first kick at the can.
Get better, fucker.
Not even that. Just don't do stupid shit. Like what story? What published story? What popular story have you ever seen whose first chapter was entirely excerpts from flashbacks of two other stories that are now a fusion world? The answer is none.
Story.
There is not a single published story out there whose first chapter is excerpts of a book written about the characters the book is about that are flashbacks as well. And you know why no published story has done that? It's because it's fucking stupid! What some people apparently don't understand is that while art is subjective, telling people something isn't. That's why public relations are a thing. That's why ads are a thing. That's why memes are a thing. If you want people to be able to look at something and understand it, you have to phrase it in a way that makes people look at it and understand it. Fucking shocker! And if you don't create your meme, your story, your art, or whatever that makes people want to look at it, and when they look at it they understand it, then people aren't going to look at it and people aren't going to understand it, and it's going to fail as a story or a meme. You can't use modern art in this aspect because modern art, as we all know in this day and age, is mostly used as a money laundering scheme, with lots of patsies and fools used to cover it all up. But memes are actually a great example of this. Shit memes go nowhere. While memes are subjectively funny, there is also an objective layer to them of what makes a good meme. Simple text, easy to understand, generally funny image. Like, there's a reason why the whole advice animal thing was popular for so long. It's, oh, that is image I recognize. I understand what's going to happen in this. Oh, that is a bunch of small, easy to read text. Okay, I understand it. Haha. It's like seriously, like that's it. And then you have plenty of failed versions of that meme where people didn't understand the point of the meme, and so they fucked it up. And people consider that a fuck up. But if you call a story a fuck up, oh, people suddenly get defensive. Oh, so stories are subjective. Sneaky, you can't be harsh with people. It's fanfiction. Anything can happen. Yeah, and anything can be made a meme, but you're gonna fucking sit there and 10 seconds later tell me that not all memes are good.
Yeah. Pretty much. Enjoyment is subjective, quality is not.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Yeah, no. And we're gonna trademark that.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to pay me royalties, fucker. Because I just trademarked it.
Yeah, but you see, we don't.
Well, we have audio proof here.
We don't respect Norwegian trademarks.
Jokes on you! I went to the U.S. Patent Office.
Oh shit! You thought ahead.
Yeah. Ain't gonna get me this time, faggot.
Anyway. Yeah. Good thing Max isn't here.
Yeah.
Why?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I heard all of that.
Fuck. Whoops. I don't know about it.
Let's see if we can't find something short to laugh at. Is this short?
I'm just gonna pretend that you were calling Sneaky a bundle of sticks, and I'm gonna be very confused about why that would be an insult.
Indeed.
Indeed.
You know what? Naruto story? Is this gonna be short or is this gonna be obnoxiously? Oh, good, it's gonna be short. Thank you, Naruto stories. You never failed to be completely disappointing. All right, so this is gonna be the final story of the night.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Naruto story, as previously stated. It's a story called "Never Cut Twice." This is a completed.
Boy, did I
fiction.
think I heard something else there. It's one of Arn's favorite words.
Indeed.
Hmm.
After failing to save Sasuke, Naruto escapes from the village.
Mm-hmm.
Now alone and a missing ninja, wielding the sword of the demon of the mist. Wait, hold up. That escalated.
Wait.
What the fuck?
Why?
He escaped with Zabuza's sword?
Yoink.
I guess he goes back to Zabuza's grave?
Yeah, I
Good
guess so.
Naruto.
I mean, I guess. Well, I mean,
Gives me
if
that.
the author's intelligent, the best time for him to escape would literally be like after the mission, because Kakashi's beat up. Kakashi's beat to all hell. Sasuke's beat to all hell.
The thing is, though, is the whole reason why Sasuke got away is because Sasuke kicked Naruto's ass in, and he couldn't.
No,
keep
I'm saying
fighting.
the best time for Naruto to escape would be during the mission to the Land of Waves.
Right, I know, but my point being is that the reason why the mission failed is because Naruto got his ass beat and couldn't move anymore, and that's why Naruto is escaping the leaf now, is because he failed to retrieve Sasuke, which would mean he's about to be hospitalized for half a month. Or forever, how long that was supposed to be. He was hospitalized, is my point.
Weak ass.
So anyway, so he apparently has a demon sword, just randomly. Naruto tries to rebuild his life as a ninja. What do you mean tries to rebuild his life as a ninja? He's a fucking missing nin. Last chapter completed.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He would now be a missing Nin S rank purely because he's a container.
Yeah, he's not only is he a
Yeah.
missing ninja, he's
You're
a
not
missing
rebuilding
ninja
shit.
carrying the Kyuubi.
This is gonna build a new
Literally,
life.
the entire Anbu Corps would be on his ass. Like, it's not even a moment of like, oh, we're gonna retrieve Naruto. It's gonna be like, all right, we're gonna fucking like knock Naruto out, cut off all his limbs, and then use him as a dick machine to get someone else pregnant, so we can get another Uzumaki to put the Kyuubi in. Like, yeah, welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker. That's what I always have problems with the whole Naruto runs away stories, because it's just like Naruto can't run away, not because he like physically can't run away, but because like the entirety of the Black Operations branch of the ninja military would be on his ass if he tried.
And let's pretend that he somehow evades the Anbu who want him back alive and might be ordered to bring him in relatively unharmed. The second every other land finds out that there's a container on the loose, not only will they want to shut that down, because that's like the United States calling up and saying, the nukes we had in South Dakota, someone walked off with those.
Yeah, well,
They were sneaky.
Yeah.
the
That motherfucker got him.
But it's also the opportunity to get those nukes for yourself.
Indeed, I did.
well, never mind that. Imagine Onoki hearing about this.
Sweden
Yo,
will
that's
face
the
its
son of
true
the dude that
punishment.
murdered half my army. Get him. Like, dude's old school. He has no qualms going after someone who's a full-fledged ninja,
Yeah.
regardless of age.
Is he okay? Yeah. There we
And
go.
no, I was reading the classic "Why I Love Star Trek Humanity" post.
Oh yeah. Fair enough.
A species that if you give them space travel devices, they will plug them, multiple of them together to see if they either A, go faster, or B, go farther. They will not save them. They will not study them. They will not dissect them. Their first thought will be, but what if faster?
Speed.
And then, when that doesn't work, okay, so we know a little bit about physics. What if we used a little bit about physics that we know to go faster?
Still, I just love the fucking engines that we created. The first thing was a single piston. We're like, alright, this is cool and all, and you know, it's generating force. But what if we put more pistons on it? Like multiple explosions simultaneously? Like, well, maybe not simultaneously. Maybe like alternating, you know? What if we put them in a
More
V
speed.
shape? Would that
More
improve things?
effective.
Why would putting them in a V shape improve things? I don't know, but it looks cool and I want to try it. Humanity. Anyway, so yeah, this garbage ass story, let's cover up this night. So, prologue, failure. The night was cold, and the wind blew steadily over the treetops. But only over the treetops, not inside the trees. No, only over them. On the walls stood a solitary figure, gazing off into the darkness of the forest. His mind haunted by memories. He had failed to save his friend and failed to keep his promise to Sakura. What was his way of the ninja worth if he couldn't even save those few he cared about? How many days had it been? He wasn't sure exactly. He spent his days in a fitful slumber, haunted by nightmares, and his nights were not spent exactly as he was now, gazing out into the forest, seeking answers. Well, Naruto, newsflash for you. Maybe if you spent more time sleeping at night and not during the day, you would have a better time sleeping, because it turns out humans are naturally not nocturnal. We're diurnal. We like to be up during the sun time. Kind of actually really important to be up during the sun time as well, because that's when you get your vitamin D, which makes you happy.
Vitamin D? Never heard of it.
I know. You're so fucking pale that if you went outside these days, the sun would reflect off of you and someone would shout Gondor calls for aid.
Yeah, Walmart like focus the light somewhere and light everything on fire.
Yeah, when you walk by, people don't need a magnifying glass to shoot ants with laser beams. They just need you.
Yeah. I am the murderer of ants.
Right.
Those fucker never saw it coming.
He let himself drift, reflecting on all that had happened since he passed the Ganin exam, trying to find some fault in his actions and where something had gone wrong. Really?
I mean, listen, there was really nothing you did that was wrong. Sasuke's an
from
edgelord.
everything?
Yes,
Like,
you know, aside from
literally
everything.
his entire existence, just constantly, it's just him not doing shit correctly. Which, again, is not a fault of his own per se, specifically. Like, for example, him doing the incorrect combat stances is not his own fault. That's That's just a failure of the fact that he didn't really have anyone to either A, correct him, or B, teach him the correct stances. And C, obviously he didn't pay attention during class, but, you don't really expect kids to pay attention during class. You kind of do, but at the same time, when one doesn't, you're like, okay, well, I just,
Yeah, you're like, all right, well,
it's a child.
1 of 26 is not paying attention. Oh well.
Exactly. Not only that, it's a child. It's like, am I gonna reprimand the kid for not paying attention? Yes, but am I gonna be like actively like angry at them as if they were an adult and fully cognizant of the ramifications of them not paying attention when I'm giving them crucial information? No, they're not. So I'm not gonna get that. I'm gonna get angry. I'm gonna chastise them, but I'm not gonna get like genuinely angry at them.
I'll just be disappointed and hope that works, especially for the ones that don't have father figures
Pretty much.
or mother figures.
That too. But still, it's just like he spends his nights contemplating where he went wrong, and it's like that's you definitely. I now see why you spent so many nights contemplating where you went wrong, because it literally your entire existence up until this point is you just doing things incorrectly. So you let himself drift, blah, blah, blah. There must have been a way to save Sasuke, and he refused to allow him to think otherwise. Oh, don't get me wrong, Naruto. You could have saved Sasuke if you weren't such a basic bitch. Like, literally, your whole moveset up until that point was the Rasengan and Shadow Clone. Fucking Christ, you didn't even have a fighting style. Your fighting style was, I'm gonna run up to them and try to punch them.
The closest you got to a fighting style was stealing Sasuke's actual fighting style.
Yeah, but even then, unfortunately, this is a failure on Kishimoto's part, because he tried to make each character distinct from each other, and that required each character not having the traits the other characters had.
Mm-hmm.
So he pretty much removed every character trait, such as Naruto stealing Sasuke's fighting style at one point, and basically reduced it down to Naruto has clones, so he just punches people.
Yeah.
Now obviously later on, that's where he stole Sasuke's fighting style, or he does the Uzumaki Rinnegan. But even then, at the end of the day, it fucking just breaks down to he's not even skilled in that fighting style. He's literally just replicating it through sheer use of shit flinging.
Well, and like, the Rasengan is super hard to hit people with. What's his solution? Make more clones to make them hold still, which doesn't even work against high tier opponents because they flex and pop the damn things.
Right, exactly. But not only that, it's like, oh, where did I go wrong? I don't know. Well, maybe if you learned how to use a clone, how to use a Rasengan without a clone. Maybe if you actually trained in things that were not clones in Rasengan. Maybe if you tried to learn a fighting style. Maybe if you actually practiced throwing shit at people.
Maybe if you paid
if you
literally
paid
any attention to Jiraiya.
That too, yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. Again, I get the whole not doing it in the time of the moment, because again, child, and the Jiraiya's being that weird uncle, effectively, where you're just like, that's really cool, Uncle Dan. It's totally the thing you just said. Yeah, that's not weird or creepy. I'm just going to agree with you and hope you stop talking to me. But it's like, yeah, and I get it, child, but you have to walk a really fine line when you're having a character like trying to reminisce, trying to like look back with regret, like, what could I have done better? Typically characters that do that don't make that many mistakes in the first place. Like, they're like, oh, I shouldn't have gotten emotional during this moment. It's like, okay, fair enough. But if it's like they get emotional and that's just their default state of them being like the extreme of every emotion constantly, they're not going to look back. First off, they're not going to look back. Second off, they're not going to look back and be like, oh my god, I shouldn't have been so emotional, because that's just how they are, period, normally. Like they wouldn't look back on that in regret, because that's like. Now, don't get me wrong though. A depressive person would look back and be like, "I should stop being so depressed," and then not do anything about it. That's completely normal for depressing people.
Yes.
But again, that's another characteristic of their overall personality, is that they will look back constantly and have constant regret for everything they're doing wrong, and then actually never, fix that because they're too busy being depressed. Which, and is not a condemnation. It's a problem. It's an actual genuine problem, is that they're too busy being depressed to actually fix their problems.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine line you have to walk when you're trying to just write a character who's looking back and trying to figure out their mistakes and reflecting on their mistakes. Because again, characters like Taylor, for example, from Worm, very little reflection going on, very little self-introspection going on, and when there was introspection,
no thoughts.
Yeah, basically, when there was introspection going on, it was all justifying what she did. She didn't look back and be like, "Oh man, I shouldn't have done that." She would look back and be like, "Oh man, they shouldn't have forced me to do that." Like, Taylor, nobody forced you to do half of the shit you did.
If they hadn't, forced me to become a warlord, none of this would have happened.
It's like, Taylor, you are literally the only person who forced you to become a warlord. It's strange how the guild uniform in Danmachi is also a suit. I wonder if those Japanese figures speak like honorifics. Yeah, no, of course they do.
It's one of those things where, to a certain extent, she was pushed towards being a criminal.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely. But it's the same shit you guys get on me for,
Oh, there went Atin.
No, well, okay, there goes Atin. So anyway,
Okay.
to build off this point, Atin's back.
Anyway, everything past that point was solely everyone else's fault.
Yeah, but no, it's the same shit you guys get on me for when we're playing Dota together, where it's like, yes, the person did slight you. Yes, you are justified in, retaliating. But at the same time, you retaliating is making us lose the game more. That's the shit you guys get on me for, and it's the shit Taylor does as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you do have the option of not retaliating and making things worse. It's like, yes, I do. I'm not gonna do it, but I do. Coil did force her hand a few times. Well, she wouldn't have been in a situation for Coil to force her hand in the first place if she didn't join him.
Or if she didn't write all the stuff leading up to a position where Coil would take any kind of a remote interest in her.
Or, get into any situations that would allow Coil to force her to do things. Like
there's
say,
a multitude of things.
Commit crimes in his
point.
name and take money in his name and get recruited onto his team of criminals who told her they were criminals, and then rob a bank in his name with the team
and
of
then
criminals.
Go, dang, crime is kind of nice for making money.
Yeah, and then proceed to be like, man, I made a lot of money from all this crime I'm doing. Boy, I sure
what
like
if
my
I
friends. I'm never gonna turn them in, but I will feel bad when I finally turn them in. But I'll never actually turn them in until way later when I have more power than all of them. And I can turn them in without worry of retribution.
Taylor is a terrible person, and Wildbow doesn't quite seem to get that.
Taylor doesn't seem to regret killing Kaiser's daughter and that one stranger. Yeah, no, she doesn't. She justifies everything. Everything she does is a caveat of, well, yeah, she didn't have to kill the baby. Yeah, she didn't have to put a gun to the head of that character and pull the trigger. She didn't have to do those things, but she would sit there and justify to herself that she should do those things because of reasons. A lot of Taylor's actions were built off of either a persecution complex or self-justification. And even the end, spoiler alert, even the end of Worm, where Taylor was effectively asked, "Would you do it again?" and her answer was yes, effectively, not in those words, but it was effectively, would you do it again? Yes. Would you mind control and literally kill thousands to millions of people in the pursuit of trying to kill Scion? Yes, I would do it again. I would regret not doing it better. Not that I did it in the first place.
Which, and by the way, that's something people don't seem to get. Like, that's why it should have ended with Contessa killing her, because, like, she's a lunatic and a monster.
She kind of is, yeah. What if Taylor and her dad wanted Taylor
Well,
to
she was
square
also
up?
brain dead, so I'm still not sure why she got the hand wave of like, oh, she just shot the passenger. Like,
I honestly, that was a really good death. And the reason why, Max, is because the fandom. Because while Bill was active on the Discord, for the Worm Discord, and a lot of people
What a
wanted
mistake.
to see. Yeah, first off, big mistake. But a lot of people wanted to see Taylor post Golden Morning, like doing shit post Golden Morning. But, you know, it was a genuinely good ending for her to die like that. Like, that was actually a very good way to end Worm.
it was. Yeah.
Like, despite me disagreeing with how everything leading up to that moment went, I really didn't like how that was handled. But with her, the idea that in the end she sacrifices a lot, but in the end her allies that she worked with, and backstabbing her and shooting her, because she's become the monster she sought to destroy effectively. That is very fitting to the theme of Worm.
All I could think of when you said that was the Fallout New Vegas opening.
It was right from the start.
Yeah.
True, sir, sonny boy. Game
But, like, I mean,
right from the
again,
start.
right, part of the reasoning for Contessa shooting her is, would you do it again? I'd do it better. Wow, this is the chance to kill baby Hitler. Let's kill baby Hitler.
Not even a single fucking cent of hesitation on her.
Based.
Not even like, you know, I was kind of a dick, but I'd probably do it again because I think it was necessary. Like, at least that's like a human response.
Yeah, Taylor got a mercy killing. Yes, she did. She very much did. She did get killed when she was still capable of recognizing that she was being killed, which is important. And you know, like I said, the ending, the epilogue ending in of itself is actually a very good way to end Worm, and I really liked it a lot. That doesn't stop me, however, from saying I also really enjoy post Golden Morning fan fictions of what if scenarios of Taylor not dying. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy those, because I do. I greatly enjoy those, because they tend to be pretty good. Because not only does it
Like-
not lock you into Worm itself, the beats that are Worm, you also can then work with a character who's been through a lot of trauma, who's been through a lot, who's experienced a lot, and you can basically make their personality be anything with justification of either A, you know, trauma, or B, being shot in the fucking brain. Do you really think Contessa is much better? No. Contessa's a monster in of itself.
However, she's just a monster with significantly more limited power.
No. Contessa is the puppet that thinks they're the puppeteer.
Yes.
Anyway, it's 3 a.m., so
Yeah.
Adios.
I'm gonna go get dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, this story is bad and garbage, and Naruto gets super depressed, and he's like, maybe I should just run away. I'm a useless ninja, blah, blah, blah. Wow, wow, wow. And then it starts raining, and he's like, oh man, it's fucking raining. And then he remembers a flashback of when he was fighting Sasuke. And he's like, wow, man, that flashback was really emotional and stuff. Too bad the audience couldn't see it. And he's like, man, wow, my dream of becoming Hokage is a joke because I couldn't save a single person. Wow, wow, wow. Literally the first bump of things not going perfectly my way has made me reconsider my dream of being the leader of my people and the protector of my nation. Says Naruto Uzumaki.
Yep.
My dream was to get respect, was to get everyone's respect, and I take back that dream. I don't want that dream anymore. My dream was a joke the whole time. I'll never receive respect from anyone. I'm a piece of shit and I'm pathetic, said Naruto Uzumaki. And he's like, I once thought Zabuza and Haku were evil, but they both died in contentment fighting for what they loved the most. No, Naruto actually never viewed Haku or Zabuza as evil. He actually really sympathized with Haku because of their shared history.
Yep.
And in the end, he recognized that Haku fought and died for what Haku found was important. And he actually didn't like Zabuza because Zabuza initially treated Haku like Haku's dreams and emotions and whatnot meant nothing. But in the end, also, by the time Zabuza died, realized that Zabuza actually cared a lot about Haku and was just trying to hide it. This is all Naruto as the kid. Like, this is fucking kid Naruto who had these realizations. So
Yeah, this was well before Shikamaru came in, and we had to dumb Naruto down.
Yeah, this was long before we dumbed Naruto down to make room for Shikamaru being smart.
That was one of the first things you pointed out to me.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate, too, because, like, Naruto being super creative and, like showing him off, I don't know why they dumbed him down. Like, I get why they dumbed him down, but I don't know why they didn't keep the creative aspect of him. Like, him, like, using his history as a prankster to employ jutsu that normally would be scoffed at by people that are stronger than him in a creative way that most people, even geniuses like Shikamaru, wouldn't have thought to use it in because of his history. And, like, you could have played it off of that, of, like, he's just so familiar with this way of thinking that he's able to catch these people who are normally wary of shit like this off guard because of just how out of the box his thinking is. I don't know why they had to remove that and make him just a punch people and befriend people, talk no jutsu, you know, typecast shonen hero. Like that wouldn't interfere with Shikamaru at all, because Shikamaru was the sort of guy that would, like, in one panel would do something, and then, like, 40 panels down the line, he would be like, hey, remember that panel 1 where I did thing in panel 1? Yeah, panel 1 actually links to panel 14, which actually is relevant to panel 7, which actually links back to panel 30, and now in panel 40, I'm taking advantage of the thing that I did in panel 16. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, he is the sort of intellectual player. And they could have kept Shikamaru as that, because that's what they typecasted Shikamaru as. But they could have kept Naruto as the sort of, like, no, I didn't plan this ahead. I didn't think about this ahead. I was just going with it, and I just thought of this on the spot. Like, this would be a cool thing to do. So, you know, maybe like 2 panels ahead, 3 panels ahead. Naruto plan was X thing, and he just did it. Like, there was no big old setup, like, nope, I actually threw this attack at you, and I thought it would work, and then it missed, and it created that rock, and, you know, like, 17 panels down the line, I looked at that rock and was like, hold on a second, I have an idea, and then I did the idea, and then 2 panels later, it worked. Like, that's what you should have kept Naruto as. That would be a different intelligence than Shikamaru's, you know, like, analytical thinking. But
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I think the last smart Naruto thing we saw was him hiding in the hole that was created in an earlier match during the Chunin exams.
Yeah. Yep.
That was the last, like, creative thing we saw from him.
Actually, who created those holes in the first place? Was that not Naruto?
I don't think it. I don't know. Wait. Might have been Naruto. I don't remember now. Yeah, it was Naruto, because he hid under a clone to make the hole, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like Naruto literally learned a way to make holes in the ground that didn't involve a jutsu that Neji would see, and then later on Shikamaru used those holes to an advantage to extend his shadow. And that's an important aspect because like that's like shit that like Shikamaru was like observing, and like 40 panels ago this happened, and now he's using it now to his advantage. Where Naruto is like that in the moment thing of like I created 100 clones, but then I actually was like I know you can see my chakra, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create one clone with more chakra, and then I'll hide somewhere else with less chakra, and you won't be able. You'll think that the clone with more chakra is me.
I don't even think it was that. I think it because he's not his control over his chakra's not good enough for that. It was like I'll have one clone hang back because other people think that that's the smart thing to do.
Mm.
Forgetting that Naruto, either forgetting or not knowing.
No. There was something with chakra levels. I think it was that he kept all of them the same. Like
he has to. That's how the shadow clones work for him. Starting out, his control is too.
Right.
His control isn't good enough for him to start changing them on the fly, even if it's just one clone.
And then even shit like, oh, well, no, actually, I was one of the clones that punched you in the face. And he's like, what? Was that part of your plan? No, I actually just really wanted to punch you in the face.
Yeah, that's right. That the creative part there was like, no, that clone just happened to be last in line.
Yeah, I actually just really wanted to punch you in the face, so I slipped in amongst my clones.
Like, did you do that? You planned this out. It's like, what? No, that clone was just really slow for some reason.
Can we imagine Taylor in Genshin Impact? Meh. Unfortunately, as it is, Canon Taylor is pretty meh. If we're talking like post Golden Morning Taylor, she'll be able to leverage her knowledge of shit, like just sheer experience with shit. She'll probably be able to leverage that a little bit. But, unless she was given some sort of Genshin power, she'd be pretty fucking weak, all things considered. It might be interesting if she served as, like, the Na'vi to the player character, where she was, like, telling them what to do and how to do it, or giving them ideas and explaining things. I guess that would be kind of interesting. But
Taylor reincarnates as Paimon.
I love it. Oh, there goes the rum. No, the rum.
Oh no, not your rum. Whatever will you do?
Well, I got all over my shirt, so I'll probably just sit here and watch it dry.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that's life. But yeah, so anyway, Naruto in this story got really sad and was like, I'm gonna go run away now. So, then he ran away.
Yeah, that's totally Naruto.
And that's it. Like, it wasn't even like some big escape and people didn't chase him out. It was just literally just like Naruto's like, wow, I'm sad. And Zabuza died for his dreams, so I'm gonna run away from the Leaf Village. And then he just jumps off the wall and runs away from the Leaf Village.
Nice.
That's it. It's like, oh, okay. But anyway, so yeah, that's the first chapter of this story, and that's our long-winded discussion of how to write better stories that aren't this. So I hope everyone learned something. I hope everyone that's watching this story later learned something. And I hope to never see you guys write a garbage-ass story like the one we just read. So we'll see you all later. I have a date with a burrito. Gonna go eat the shit out of that. And see you guys Friday, because there is in fact always more, and it does always get worse.